Once I hit the button, that means we're live and there's no going back. Just kidding.
Right.
Welcome, everybody, and Tony's Coffee House. Tony, how
Yeah.
are you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good, Joe.
Good.
Thanks.
Me and Tony have talked about a topic that we are both interested in, and that is the kingdom of God, or we all actually maybe more the kingdom of heaven. What would you say, Tony?
Well, yeah, the way I understand it when I read the Bible is we got a hope. Our hope is that Jesus came from heaven and he went back to heaven, and he's preparing a place for us.
Yes, he
So
definitely
I'm
is.
looking forward to that place. And we're
Mm-hmm.
told now, since he was here to preach the kingdom.
Yeah, he said in his father's house there are many mansions. And where is that? I can't remember where that is, but I'll find it here. In
Yeah,
my
I didn't have it
father's
memorized.
in my father's house. I probably should have kept typing.
It's
John 14. Let's look at that.
John
This
13.
14.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna just share really quick about the this. This has like a kind of extra meaningful. Um, I don't really know what I'm trying to say. It's very meaningful to me because of a dream that I had in 2018, where, in a nutshell, I drove up in a car, which is funny. I drove up to the clouds, uh, to this mountain that was above the clouds.
Highway to heaven.
Yeah, I drove up there, and it was like almost as if I was going to a job, like going to work. And one of the things that happened when I was up there in the dream was that I actually was doing drywall there, and there's buildings there, and there was a city there, and there was like I couldn't see it all. Like I couldn't. When I think about it, I don't have that like visual ideas in my mind from the dream of that place. It's not real clear visually in my mind, but when I was up there, I was doing drywall, and there was people with me that were doing drywall, and it's just kind of, for me, it's very meaningful, I guess. And dreams are something that, how you have a dream and it'll affect you all day sometimes, and it might
Hmm.
just be something weird in your dream, like what was that, But it's a dream. It doesn't seem too important. It's just, but it can really have an effect on you. That's kind of how this dream was, except that this dream real vivid, really clear in my mind. But there was a place up there, and it was being built, like it was being constructed as I was there in that dream. So that's why
Yeah,
I
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah. And I actually made a video about it not too long ago, where I just kind of went over what happened in there. So maybe I'll just read a couple verses from John 14, if you don't mind.
Sure. Sure,
Let
sure.
not, uh, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. So where's he going, Tony? Where's that
He's
place?
going back to heaven where he
Yeah,
came from.
yeah.
And
And then
that's
you,
the whole testimony of the gospel is that God came down here to earth from heaven.
yes. And he actually, when he came down here, he actually, what the purpose of him coming down here was to almost to build a road. I mean, I'm kind of making up like an analogy, but almost like he came down here to start building a highway for us to follow him up to where he's going,
Good
sort of.
parable. for sure. That's a good analogy of that because he says, "I am the way, I am the truth," and
Yep. The truth.
he's the gate. He's the he's the only way. Without
Yep.
acknowledging that, first off, he created everything. Second, that he had to judge everything, and that he came down here from heaven to reconcile us to God. Since the fall of man, them going to the other kingdom, in the garden, I believe that's when there was two kingdoms established. There was already the kingdom of heaven,
Yep.
the tree of
That
life.
one's always been there, right? I
Yeah,
believe like
that's
that.
always been, and it always will be. This other one is a usurped kingdom with stolen knowledge. They're like plagiarists. All these fallen angels. Hey, let's give gifts to men and let's corrupt their ways. And then they establish this kingdom of like the world where Satan is the ruler of, I'm throwing quote marks in the air, the world. I don't believe that Satan is the ruler of this world because God created it and
I
he's
think
the
it.
ruler.
I think it's a easy way to because yeah, you're right. That God is all powerful. He could do whatever he wants, but I guess maybe we don't understand his ways. But the way he does things, he does it in a certain way, and it just so happened the way I think about the ruler of the darkness of this world or the those principalities and that stuff. I see as being the power of the air, or they have a dominion. And actually, that's what that's what's awesome about Daniel 7 is that really Daniel 7 is how I came to understand about this dominion and this heavenly place and how it was taken.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's one of the first revelations of the kingdom.
me too.
One
Yeah,
one of the greater, pictures and an actual vision given from God, and that if like how there's a blessing in reading Revelation, it says, "Blessed are those that read this book." Well, they're
yeah,
just kind of saying that because it's truity. It's something that's true of certain types of scripture, like Daniel, like Revelation, like Ezekiel, and what Jeremiah. All these prophets speak of this kingdom from different perspectives, but that one is very clear.
yeah. I'm actually going there right now. Some of these things that are in here are just so awesome in this vision that I had. It's talking about these these four beasts that he saw, and he saw them being lifted up and arising out of the earth. I think that's in verse 17, isn't it? These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But this is one. I think this is one of your favorite verses, isn't it? Verse 18. But the saints of the Most High
Yeah.
shall take the kingdom
Well,
and
the
possess the
reason,
kingdom.
let me explain why that verse is significant is I didn't have it memorized, but the Lord, through the Holy Spirit, impressed on me to look up that verse.
Okay.
I was seeking His kingdom, and I was like, I want to know. I need confirmation that you've accepted me into your kingdom. And I was given by impression of the Holy Spirit that verse to look up. And I hadn't been reading Daniel for a while. And this was early in my being born again and becoming a disciple and learning about the ways of God years and years ago. So I looked it up, and it was one of the easiest verses for me to understand and memorize. And I have a hard time memorizing verses, so that's kind of the backstory of why I like that so much. I have other
Mm-hmm.
favorite verses, but that one I know came from God.
It's one that you came to understand in a supernatural way, like he showed you. Not you didn't. It wasn't your knowledge of English
Right.
and comprehension that got it to you. It was the Holy Spirit that taught you that.
The
And I
Holy
think
Spirit taught me about His kingdom.
Yeah, and that was something you actually mentioned in your stream this morning that I caught you on. Uh, and I mentioned, I forgot what it was. Oh, it was, I was reading Proverbs 8 or whatever, and you were talking about how maybe the translators put the feminine angle to wisdom and understanding, where it calls her she.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
Mother
actually,
Earth purposes.
yeah, and that's actually, for me, I love hearing you say that on your channel this morning. I loved hearing you say that because it reminded me of how being wrong, like if me and you had a different way of thinking about something, and we discussed it, we're kind of like either debating or arguing or whatever like that, and if one of us realize, oh, you know what, I'm wrong and Tony has a point here, I better just realize that I don't want to sit here and be wrong. So I'm gonna just have to admit, yeah, you know what, Tony, you have a point. I'm wrong. So, but what's like, that's not always a good feeling to be wrong that way. But when the Holy Spirit corrects you, that's a different kind of being wrong, and that's like it's a blessing to be wrong in that case, because if
That's
he
wisdom.
teaches you, yeah, if he
Yeah,
teaches you something that you didn't understand before, and now you have I don't know what the right word is, almost a profound understanding of something, you understand it in an entirely different way, and it came from him. I think that's awesome. So there was a few verses here in Second Baruch. I think I read this last time I was talking to you. Was it on the phone, or I don't even remember last time
we were
we were?
streaming. We were
Was it? Were we?
streaming. Yep.
And it was Second Baruch. Um, he talks about this kingdom, the heavenly Jerusalem, and uh,
Okay. So when you read this Baruch, read it good and slow because it takes me a minute to understand some things. But
yeah.
I didn't mean to say that you were wrong in the way you're understanding when you was reading that, because that's exactly how it reads.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not. I was just making up an example there, or like
Yeah.
a kind of a
I mean, I don't
hypothetical.
want you to think that I was. No, you're reading the word, and that's what it says. And
No,
you
and
know,
but like you mentioned about the feminine part or whatever, and
well,
you were convicted about that, and then you looked it up. You looked up you know, and
yeah.
you said maybe that was like
I
to for
rewrote. I was crossing it out and writing in him. I was changing. My brother has the Bible, but I was crossing out things and trying to fix the word. And God,
you were trying to understand it, right?
yeah,
And that's that is the problem with translations throughout time here. There's an example in the King James Bible that there's like a glaring error that they made, and it doesn't probably matter, but it's clear that they made it, and that's the last verse in or the first verse in Revelation 13, where it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea." That's actually not in that. That's not talking about the beast, or John wasn't standing on the sand of the sea. That's actually saying that the dragon was standing on the sand of the sea, and that is actually in verse, I think it's 17 of chapter 12. I don't know why they took it and made it into John standing at the sand of the sea, because the actual words are talking about the dragon being or persecuting those that follow God's commandments or whatever. And then it finishes up by saying, and he stood upon the sand of the sea. Like that's where he was accusing
right.
them or whatever. And then so all of a sudden when I read the KJV, I'm like, it took me, and you know who revealed that to me? I would never have known that, but the Holy Spirit told me that.
Right.
Because I said to myself, I said, that sea that's being talked about in Revelation 13 doesn't have sand. John saw a beast rising up out of the sea. Well, all
Right.
the context of that beast in Revelation, it's mentioned two or three other times. That's the same beast that came up from the bottomless pit. So that's talking about the deep or whatever, the I guess the great deep.
Yeah, the vast oceans above. Now it's
Yeah.
curious. It's curious that you mentioned that they didn't have the sand in the heavenly realm, because sand is a barrier here to hold in the
Oh
oceans.
yeah, you were just talking about that about
Yeah,
say what you were saying earlier about
Jeremiah, he says, "Why shouldn't you fear the Lord? Don't you see the seas are held in by the sands? Though they rage, they can't." I don't remember exactly the context for what I was saying, but it was about the sand being a barrier for the oceans, and that shows the power of God.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's that reminds me of like the ice wall. You know what I mean? Like that way of
Yeah,
thinking is it's like, yeah, we are on whatever the case is, there's a boundary for water.
Antarctica is one of the biggest deserts.
Is it?
Um, yeah, it's a desert. It doesn't have to be dry to be a desert, or it's actually dry because of the coldness. It doesn't rain enough. So I read articles on how Antarctica is one of the biggest deserts that we have. So that would, and to me, I think a desert. I think sand.
Yeah.
So it
Um
doesn't mean that it's hot. Desert doesn't always mean hot. It just means lack of moisture in the air, and life. It's a desolate place.
yeah, and you know what? I that kind of makes a little bit of sense, when Enoch went to that waste and horrible place, that was at the end of heaven and earth.
That
Like
could have been where the edges of heaven and earth.
it
Where
could be.
doesn't it talk in Enoch about portals for the suns and moon, and
Yep.
for the calendars and
Gates and everything that they go
gates?
through.
Let me tell you a story about a gate. I was in California. This is before I was saved, and I was doing acid, and I saw a portal when I went outside in the desert, and I was looking at the stars, because you could see the stars in the daytime out there, but this was at night, and I was laying out in the desert looking up at the stars, and I saw a gate. I was going to write a book about it because it was such a trip. But I saw a gate, like a big window, and I just was imagining that they have a dome above us with these big gates. You ever seen that movie, Space Camp,
I think I might have back in the day.
where the
I don't
kids
remember.
went up to space? They got to go up on the spaceship for space camp, and
Okay.
then there ended up being a disaster and stuff, and they couldn't get back in through the window, so they had to travel around and around until they can get to
Till
another
they found
window.
an opening or something.
Yeah, so it talks about the
Wow.
windows in that space camp movie.
Wow,
Um,
I never knew that. I never well, I might have to look into that because
yeah, check out that movie if you've never seen
I
Space
think
Camp.
I'm sure I've seen it when I was a kid. Like I'm
Yeah,
sure I've seen it. It just sounds so familiar, Space Camp.
yeah, but I always remembered that when I seen that movie Space Camp, that because I was at that age, it was for like our culture, the Gen Xers, to be raised in this kingdom, that believes in space as the final frontier.
Yeah. Okay, so I just for fun, I went to Revelation 12, 17, just to show you guys the Greek, just to show you this translation error. Now, I'm not saying that these are like common or something that we have to worry too much about it, but I think that it just probably an honest mistake that somebody made as they were translating for King James. So in the Greek, this is how the words are this is what the words are anyway, the English words. And was angry the dragon with the woman, and went to make war with the rest of the children of her, keeping the commandments of God. Sorry, my computer's a little bit slow. Keeping the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus. And he stood upon the sand of the sea. See that? Now, if we go to the next verse, which is Revelation 13, verse 1, notice that it says, right now I'm on. Oh, wait, you know what? Let me get it bigger for. I'm sorry. Let me go. Okay, there we go. Now you guys can see it better. Sorry about that. Um, so if we look here, this is Revelation 7 or
Yeah,
12.
can you there you go.
Did that help? Did that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Revelation 12, verse 17. So this is the last verse in chapter 12. And right at the end of it, it's talking about the dragon. Actually, I could go, let's just to make it very clear, let's go, or right there. Okay. We don't have to go back a verse, I guess. So, and was angry the dragon. The dragon was angry, um, and he went to make war with the woman and the children of her, keeping the commandments of God and holding the testimony of Jesus. And he stood upon the sand of the sea. So that's where he was, like when he was accusing them or whatever. And then so we go to the next verse, or the next, yeah, chapter and verse. Look at what's missing out of this. And I saw out of the sea a beast rising, having. So this is a completely different part of the story, or what? Oh, I lost Tony, I think. They will need to reconnect their mic cam before you can add them. He must have. Oh, there he is. Hey, we lost you, Tony.
I was trying to get my camera to work.
Oh, okay. We see you. We see end of days right now. So basically, this verse, Revelation 13, verse 1, starts out with him saying, "I saw a beast come up out of the sea." And so then when we go to the KJV, we can clearly see the error that they made. And this is an amazing time that we live in, you guys, because of the resources that we have. How would I ever be able to point something like this out without, websites like Bible Hub or Tony, you like Blue Letter Bible? Is that the one you go to a lot? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I lost you again. Okay, sorry. I got you back in now.
well, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to add my camera and it kept messing it up. So I'll stop messing around.
Quit your fidgeting. Just kidding.
I know.
So do you guys see
Blue
what I've
Letter Bible.
highlighted?
Yeah.
Revelation 13. Why is this part in here? And I stood upon the sand of the sea. That makes it seem like John was standing on the sand of the sea, but that's not the case. I'll go back to Revelation 12. This is the King James that I'm looking at now. That's the part that I have. Oh, I hit the wrong button. The part I have highlighted on the screen now should have actually been in Revelation 12. So if we go to the end here, it just says the dragon was wroth, angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus. And it should say here, and he stood upon the sand of the sea.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They split when they added numerology in chapters and verses.
Yep.
They split
Yes, exactly.
sentences in the middle and confuse the meaning.
Oh, you know what, Tony? We have to take a brief intermission. I actually just heard word that there is a press conference going on right now. Actually, give me a minute. We'll come right back, friends. I guess they landed on the moon or something. I guess we'll see if it plays. Here we go. Oh boy. Can you hear the audio, Tony? Buzz.
Little music back there, yeah.
Why'd you wear that blue suit? Thing's terrible. What are we here for again? Psst, who the heck are you? Where am I? Why are they taking our picture? Do you know? What the heck is going on here? Wow, it's pretty choppy, isn't it? I'm pausing it for a second. Roderick says that conference is CGI or the middleman is Nephilim. That's pretty good, Roderick.
You need
Um,
that Joe Biden in there.
yeah. Come on, man. Hi, Spare Room
It's one
Music.
of the
Good to
other
see you.
guys.
Hi, Thomas Morgan. Hi, Natsa Marian. You know what? I'm calling you Nat. I can't ever say that word, your name right. Elizabeth Borson, Yaz Wilsring. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Michael J. Spencer, what's happening? I just had to say hi, people. 444 The Truth. And let's see. I know there was someone else that I didn't mention. Ryan Popejoy and Eric. Oops, where did that go? Uh oh. I just, I'm not scrolling. Eric Pritchard. Erica Pritchard. I'm sorry. Welcome. And is that. Oh, we got Chow Yun Cat. Welcome. And Parkway. Cool. A bunch of people came in here already. And I probably, if I missed people, sorry. I don't mean to. Thomas Morgan and there's a lot of comments in here already. Monica Scamoni S, if I'm saying that right. If I'm not, hey, Tony's Coffee House is here, guys. So Tony, um,
Tony's Coffee House.
yeah, do you have coffee? I do. I'm actually almost
I
out
have
now.
coffee. I have my coffee pot sitting right next to me as I stream, setting up.
Tony has a
Wish I
USB powered coffee pot. Did you guys know that?
right.
I'm just kidding.
Whenever I stream, it makes coffee.
Yep. He just turns his computer on and he's all of a sudden there's a coffee house. He's ready to go. Um yeah, so I don't know why I had that quick that press conference. That was fun.
Yeah, that's funny. I think you should put like Joe Biden in there, like as the blue suited guy.
Yeah. The that blue suit that Buzz was wearing was just awful, I'd have to say. Like if there was ever like a like something that would make someone think of just like the 70s or maybe the 80s, I guess, or whatever. It probably the 70s, but it would be that blue suit. And maybe he could even have like something like some kind of scarfy thing around his neck and do some disco or something. I don't know. Maybe maybe that's just me. Um so let's see here. That was kind of off topic with the Revelation 12 and 13 thing in the Greek, but that was just something that, like you had mentioned, how you were corrected by the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit teaching you. This is a real thing that happens. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just us imagining. Oh, I was taught that by the Holy Spirit. No, we come to understand these things because He shows them to us. You know what I mean? Just like I guess what I'm saying is how would I ever understand that when that there was a conflict in that translation? So I looked it up and I found that there was actually a bad or like a mistranslation. Like how would that happen without the Holy Spirit teaching me that those were the waters above or whatever, the dark waters, the deep that was being talked
Yeah,
about by.
through conflict or challenge, when somebody challenges your beliefs, like for example, how I came to faith and reading the Bible and being born again was I was doing drywall in a hospital, earthquake repair damage in the Loma Linda Hospital. I used to have to put on doctor's outfits and everything to go in and do these drywall. I was doing
Oh
drywall
yeah.
in the hospital. I was making as a teenager $15 an hour do drywall. So I'm working with these guys. One is a Jehovah's Witness, the other is a Seventh Day Adventist. And they're telling me that I'm not saved. I thought that I was saved because I asked Jesus in my heart when I was a kid, like I was
Hmm.
told that I had to do.
Yeah.
All you have to do is have faith in Jesus, and I did. But
You
I
bought the
never went.
ticket.
I got the ticket,
Yeah.
and so they said, no, you can't be unless you're one of the 144,000. And I told them I must be one of the 144,000 because I'm saved. And
Yeah, and that's like there's so many doctrines or whatever that that people, I guess they don't realize maybe that there's a false sense to some of these things and they don't realize it, and it almost seems like an assumed thing, you know. And I'm trying to think of an example, like we go to heaven when we die, like we're going up to the sky when we die. uh it depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Depends on whose family you're in. Some people teach other things.
Yep.
But what I did is I had never really read the Bible, so I had to get a Bible, and I asked, "Oh, can I get a Bible? Somebody got a Bible?" So I got a Bible, and then I was like, "This is different." I says, "Anybody else got a Bible?" So I ended up with like 4 translations, laying them out on and studying them, trying to figure this out.
Crossing
Well,
out he and writing or she and writing
uh,
he, and no, I'm just kidding.
I did, I did.
Well,
I,
you
I
try to
was on.
understand something, and
I
it,
was.
like, if it's, if the world teaches you too that the Bible is this sacred word, you know, this it's from God, you know, that's everybody, when considering that, it's like, well, is it, are these really God's words, or did men just write something profound down and now it's popular? You know, like, what is that? Well, it it's more than just words, more than just men's words.
Yeah, it led me to question, okay, which translations? I'd read all that subtext and how they were translated, and trying to figure out, okay, what's going on with all these translations. And then the King James only thing, I got into trying to figure out all this conflict. I didn't even know. It led me into years and years of studying and reading books, and I couldn't get my nose out of the Bible for so many years. That's all I did. I was consumed with it. It took
You're
over my
hungry
life.
for it.
Yeah, I was hungry. I was like, man, I didn't know. I didn't
That
know that there
reminds
was
me of Luke
truth.
24.
Right.
Luke 24, when Jesus was walking on the road with them, and they didn't know it was him. And he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're like, "What? Where you been?" They're like, telling him about Jesus, and that he was crucified, and hoping that he was going to restore the kingdom to Israel. And Jesus, like, he says, "Oh, fools of heart, and slow to believe what the prophets wrote." And
Yeah.
he
He
and
explained
he's
all
like,
the way through scripture. He was like, this
yeah.
is this,
When he
this,
was
this.
that, to me, that's like to be those guys on that road, where all of a sudden there's this dude walking with you and he's asking you, "What are you guys talking about?" And so you explain it to him, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's the very one that actually you thought was dead is actually walking with you right now,
Didn't those
stopping
guys
you.
not realize until after he left, though, or was that a different group?
No, the reason why, well, they didn't realize until he expounded. He
I,
actually went through the scriptures with them, and I think it probably happened right on the road. Like, they stopped that. Like, this is just my own little story of it in my mind, the way I see it. They're walking, and all of a sudden, he says, "Oh, fools of heart and slow to believe what all that the prophets wrote." He kind of breaks the whole spell that they're under, and he goes, "You guys are slow to believe what my words are written through the prophets." And then he went through the scriptures with them, pointed out the times that, or the places where he is mentioned in the scriptures, and opened the scriptures to them, opened it to their understanding. And I'm like, that's so powerful to me, because who else could reveal any of it? Only he can reveal the full meaning of scripture, of his words, you know. Thomas Morgan says, "Dragon coming back down," just launched the other day. That's this evening. I think about 5:30 or 6:30 or something, and I might even live stream that. Who knows? So yeah, that's actually the video that is playing on the screen that says SpaceX right there. That is actually the video of these people, these 4 civilians floating around in a dragon up in the sky. What do you think about that, Tony? Do you think that's
a
just a
dragon?
do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think that that's Elon Musk being an elite that knows everything about everything, and then he's playing the part just to
It
deceive people?
isn't. It isn't him playing any part. I've heard so many stories about Elon Musk since we've been talking, and some people say that he's uh, basically genetically modified from DNA of people like Tesla and stuff. But who knows? I mean, these special people that they try to do breeding, if he's an elite, I don't know. Obviously, if he's part of a DNA project, then he would like like Zuckerberg saying, I used to be human," or something like
Yeah,
that. You
he
know,
never looked it though.
but
I'm just kidding.
okay, one thing that Elon Musk, you want to talk about him for a
Yeah.
second? I'll expound on what I think about him. He wants to make a cyborg dragon,
Yep.
right? So
Yep. And
just
he
to, I mean, I just think about that and say, okay, well, a cyborg is like putting human with machine.
like what did they call it? Like well, in like a lot of people in the Bible in Daniel 2, is it that maybe that would mixing metal with or iron with clay, something
But
like
that's
that
part of the
idea.
superheroes. See, superheroes have cyborg abilities,
The mighty men and
all
they're
kinds of them.
yeah, and
Like think of
they're
Transformers. Think of the Transformers.
yes, just like that. Do you see what Thomas Morgan? I'm highlighting some comments in the chat because uh, Thomas Morgan makes and Thomas. I don't have the YouTube open, so I can't do the wrench thing. But I I'll give you. We'll take care of that when I don't have the YouTube open. I'm in a stream yard, so I don't know uh, how
Open
to
up
do that
another
from here.
tab and just mute the other tab so you can.
I would, but my everything will lock up if I try to open too
Oh,
much
your
stuff.
computer needs work, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing all this from a laptop, and like anytime I'm always running my program in the background,
Oh,
and all this other stuff. So it almost like
yeah.
just
You need.
makes my computer stop.
Yeah, you almost need two computers.
So there's all these channels, and like I follow these channels carefully or closely because they talk about these topics, right? That talk about Revelation and Daniel and the visions and the beasts and Babylon,
A
and
dragon is a
there.
dragon, and if they have it on the news, people should believe that it's somewhat true, right? They're launching a dragon up at this
That's what the
space
world
station.
believes. I
So I
mean,
mean,
there's
it's
only
not a big mystery that there is a dragon out there. It's just people don't want to associate that with the reality of the Bible, you know,
exactly. So they say,
and
well, that's not
they
a dragon.
disconnect. They disconnect because of their presumptions.
Yep. So
They
the vision that
presume
John
something,
had.
so they ignore evidence.
Yes, and it's I think that's the actually that's the devil doing that, like
Delusion.
taking from them what they were given because they it didn't isn't that in the parable of the sower? It didn't take root, and so he took away what they would have had.
Right.
And and I think if we all have to be careful. So in the book of
Yeah.
like just very generally in the book of Revelation, John is shown a vision. He does not know what he's seeing. He's just describing and telling what he's seeing. And to me, he doesn't tell us that it's a dragon that has, feet and wings, and he tells us it was shaped like a horn. That's what he tells us. It was a little horn. And and it was a dragon. And then he also told us that it was Satan. So when I'm living in the world that we're living in with all the stuff happening, I'll just say, uh, strange things happening in our world where we're finding ourselves to be probably ridiculed and attacked for not jabbing ourselves with a
Oh, people have gotten weaponized against each other.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to get way worse. But
People are agitated.
in these times, wouldn't it be a good idea to pretend in our hearts and minds that we have to learn things. We don't know the things that we need to know. And so if we listen and if we read the word of God, we will get taught things that we didn't know. And because the revelation of Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? There's things being revealed, and God has secrets and mysteries that he reveals to
Yeah.
his servants, the
So
prophets, you know.
Daniel 7, thinking back on Daniel 7, I was just thinking of all this end times and the dragon, because that's the dragon's mentioned here, right?
Well,
In Daniel,
it's a he goat in Daniel. It's like a it's um
these
I don't know if the
great
dragon
beasts.
is I don't
Daniel
think the
7:17, the one before that one I like, it says these great beasts which are four kings which shall rise out of the earth. Now that could be interpreted however anyone wants to interpret it. But
yeah, like a tree arises out of the earth, but you
this
know,
is part of a beast system, right? This is part
yeah,
of that kingdom. There's
four
two
of them.
kingdoms at war here, is the way I look at it.
Yep. And there's
So
one
there's
there's it's all like the gold would be the kingdom of heaven. It would be the sky. That's what the dominion is.
Daniel 7:13 says, I saw in night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man come with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him there, and was given a dominion, glory, and a kingdom.
Yep.
So there's Jesus being given the kingdom.
And that happens after in Daniel's vision, Jesus being given the kingdom and dominion that lasts forever. That happened after a short period of time where the dominion was illegally taken. Like it was
Yeah,
taken
it repeats it
by
like three
sin.
times in this chapter and tries to describe it in a few different ways. And the
Yes.
angel still had to give him an interpretation. And then at the end of this chapter, he was like, oh, this is the end of the matter. As for Daniel, my cognitives much troubled me, and the countenance changed within me. But I
Yeah.
kept the matter in my heart. This is such a big vision just in these few verses.
Yeah, and you know what? That actually that describes so well how I feel a little bit after understanding some of the things about this kingdom and dominion is my cogitations much troubled me too, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart.
Yeah,
When
there's
you
a lot
see
of
it from
things
a
that you can't share
and when
about it.
yeah, exactly, and there's a you can't I guess when you understand something from being like from not your understanding, but actually that has to do with Proverbs 8, what we're talking about, wisdom and understanding. That comes from God. It doesn't come from anything, from any college or university or any science experiment. It comes from God. It's a supernatural thing.
And when Jesus was going to to die, he was praying for all the believers and stuff. And
Yep.
he was saying that if I don't go away, I can't send you the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. I've always kind of wondered what he meant by if I when he says if I don't go away that or if I go away, how does he say that?
It's John what 13 or 14 through 17 or something that he talks about the whole system of why he has to go away and in order to send the Holy Spirit. I mean, it was a long. I thought it was a long discourse. I think I went over that a
I think
while.
it's maybe in 14. Let's see here. I'll try to find it. Or is it in 15? Let's see here. Oh man, we could
John
read this. We could
14.
read this. This is such powerful stuff. The words
Right.
that Jesus said. It's
Yeah. Just click on the red letter and just. I like to read a lot of what he says to understand, because if we're his disciples,
he's our teacher.
then and he's the truth and the way and the king and of the kingdom, then shouldn't we at least know what he says
Yes.
and
Eh,
be abreast of it and understanding and refreshing our minds maybe daily to understand, um, just to be closer to him.
Meditate on the words that are written down in the Bible. They're all his words, but like you were saying, the red letters, the ones that Jesus spoke while he was living in a man's body on the earth. Like when he was here on the earth, those words, to me, those are the most powerful words that have ever been spoken or written, and what or said when they're repeated. It because they can affect people in. You could have five people in a room, and you could read some of these words, and one or two or three or however many of them might not even might think what does any of this mean? This that's just like all word salad. And then
But
to some others, it might change their life in an instant.
yeah, like the word created everything.
Yeah,
God
that's a
spoke
powerful concept
into
there.
existence. And it says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. We being made in God's image have the ability to create or to destroy. He says if you believe, you can tell this tree to be cast into the sea and it'll obey you, or this mountain, whatever. He gives so many examples that if you believe, but we don't have faith like that. That's what he. I don't know if he was just being facetious and be like, if you really had faith, you could do this stuff, or was he saying it to encourage you to go and cast trees into the ocean?
Well, I don't know, but the way that you bring it up, it is interesting because um, in the time we live in, there's the topic of flat Earth being debated and talked about, and that's like one of the hot topics for the last 7 years over everything. I mean, not I'm not saying it's the most popular thing on in the world. What I'm saying is that there has been nonstop every single day, multiple channels and debates happening. Like right now, if I wanted to, I could go to my YouTube things and I'll bet you I can find a debate on flat Earth, just probably from where I'm subscribed.
Oh,
They're happening on
you
nonstop.
remember how I do the? Yeah, I know they're just so long.
Oh
But
yeah, Tony does
I do my
a
daily. I
yep,
do a daily flat Earth search, and I'll just type in flat Earth, click it for today, and I'll try to get through all the videos and just at least skim them.
and a
And
lot
it
of times
takes
you don't
me
even make it
hours.
through.
Yeah, it takes me hours just to barely get an idea of what's going on with the flat Earth, and I've been doing that since the beginning, on and off.
I like it
Just
when you do that show because it's always interesting to see the new like someone
I
there's a
always
new point of
find
view or
new people to subscribe to. I find new flat earthers that have no flat Earth friends at all
yeah,
every time, and it's just so
and they're
burdensome.
still putting themselves out there. They're
Yeah, and
still putting
they're like,
their yep
yeah. And the same trolls that attack all of us are attacking those
attacking them.
people that are
Yeah,
just coming out, and they know nobody. They know nobody. They just
Tony, let
barely.
let me run something by you. This is just makes me laugh a little bit, and it'll make you laugh. But tell me what's going on. This is kind of a change of subject or off topic a little bit, but okay. So there's just an example. I'll give a specific example of something that happens probably once a day. I get a comment that says this on my channel somewhere on one of my videos. It's this statement or this claim that if Earth was flat, that the stars would have to rotate in not in a circle but in an oval. And I'm like, okay, but let's just stand back and look at this. So people say on flat Earth, if the Earth was flat, then the stars couldn't rotate in a circle. They would have to be an oval because unless you were directly under the North Star, you would see an oval, not a circle. And I understand what they're saying, but what they're doing is they've created in their mind a model that Tony believes. I'm just going to use you, Tony, because for the example to kind of make this story clear. So they go to Tony's channel or my channel or whatever, and they're like, oh, this dumb flat earther, and they go and they say, your dumb flat Earth has oval star trails. How does that work? Or that doesn't work, you flurfer. And I'm like, do you understand what you're even doing? You're coming to me and telling me something that, first of all, is ridiculous. And to top it off, you're telling me that I believe this thing that you're saying is ridiculous. You've created your own flat Earth map that isn't representing reality, and you're imposing that onto my beliefs and then accusing me of it. Does that make any sense to you, Tony? Because the real sky above the Earth, whether the Earth is flat or a globe, the stars go in circles. They don't go in ovals. Why are they talking about ovals and coming to my channel and telling me you believe in ovals? Do you know what I'm saying? That's not what happens.
They just want to argue. They got arguments, kind of like, I don't know what the name for it is. I want to
They say that
Homer or something. And what I usually, I guess, an okay way to do it, to silence people, ask them if they're saved. Are they born again? Change the subject.
that's one way to do it. But
just tell me, what's the point in talking to you if you're not willing to accept the truth?
it's like if your house was painted tan or whatever. It's tan. And if I came to you and I didn't go to your house, but I went onto your YouTube channel and said, why do you keep saying that your house is red? That's impossible. Nobody paints their house red. And I'm like, but I don't believe that my house is red. I've never said that my house is red. You actually made that up. And now you're coming to my channel and telling me that I'm saying that? No, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, there's the idea that there's a flat Earth map with this flat Earth sky, and these people constantly and continuously, I call it straw manning,
Okay.
but they tell me you believe this, and this is obviously wrong. So why do you believe this? And all I can say is, well, I don't believe that at all. You made that up yourself.
Right.
But yeah, so that was a little off topic, but I had to, because I get a lot of comments on my channel, Tony, that are just...
You deal with a lot of people. That's why I don't want a lot of subscribers, because I've only got a few views here and there, and it's a lot. I don't.
Well, you gotta
deal well with people.
You guys can tell that. I mean, when for maybe a couple years ago, I would try to reply or like or whatever every comment, engage with every comment. But you guys know, at a certain point, that just becomes something that you don't even attempt to complete, because it's impossible. So then you have this kind of guilt feeling, like like people think you're ignoring them. But I do read the comments. Not all of them, maybe, but
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having like thousands of people to, imagine having that many people in one area, one building.
Well, like when
all your subscribers, I thought about that when my channel first started. I'm like, I got 12 subscribers. If I had 12 people in my house right now, it'd be crowded and it'd be cool. So
I'm just going to
I was
my...
appreciating all the people that were subscribed. So I really like to know the people. If I got 200 subscribers, how come nobody's commenting? Where is all those people? I see a dozen people commenting, but there's hundreds of people. And how come they don't all show up? Are they just like dead accounts?
I think they just
See,
they don't like flat Earth.
I talk about things like, maybe that they just subscribed one time because I talked about one subject, and then I changed my subject, so they unfollowed me but still stayed subscribed.
Yeah.
So they don't ever see me. See, I had a guild, in that game, and I would find those idle players or subscribers because we were limited on how many we could have. So I didn't want to waste my time on people that wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't shy about just cutting somebody off and being like, look, dude, you haven't logged on for 4 months.
Yep. You're coming here to
You're
you're
robbing my
not
bank.
you're not like
You're
hanging
robbing
out.
the guild bank, and then when
Yeah.
you do come in, you're just disrupting what we're doing and what we got going on. You
Let me
haven't
show
been
you
part of
guys.
the group.
Let me show you guys an example. So Simon Dan made a flat Earth fail compilation where he goes through and points out things he considers to be failures in the flat earthers. Goes to different channels and whatever. And so he had brought up one of the videos. I don't remember exactly what it was, but so I commented on it though. Dan, the only reason why anyone can go outside with a camera and create time-lapse photography like star trails is because obviously the stars are rotating in the night sky. The sky rotates. This is an observation that you and everybody on Earth makes, Dan. The Earth is stationary and the sky above it rotates. This is simple to know by looking up at the sky. So I always leave comments like that, and they always get a lot of replies or whatever. So here's an example of one of these people. Mandelbrot says, "Effed up world, the fact that there are two celestial poles with apparent celestial rotation in opposite directions around them completely destroys your fantasy flat world." Okay, this is what this is called, and I'm not trying to rip on Mandelbrot's set, but what Mandelbrot's set's doing right now is bluffing. And I can explain why he's bluffing. Because in reality, on your globe or your flat earth, whatever one you want to live on, the whole sky is moving in one rotation direction. The whole sky. And there are two centers or axes of rotation in that sky. There's one all the way in the north, and then all the way on the opposite end of the sky on the south is the other one. They're all the stars are going the same direction around either one of those points. And so they say that it moves the opposite direction because Mandelbrot's set hasn't thought about this before in depth enough to understand that when you're facing north, you're looking one direction. And so when you see the stars circling in a counterclockwise motion, when you turn yourself around 180 degrees, Mandelbrot set, that's not the sky rotating the opposite direction. That's you turning around, and the view you take from turning that 180 degrees, the sky spinning in the same direction as you were just looking in the north now appears to be going clockwise because you're facing the opposite direction. So what Mandelbrot's doing here is he's showing his ignorance. There's another one that gets brought up is, why is the moon upside down when you look from the southern hemisphere versus the northern hemisphere? It's not upside down. You're looking the opposite direction at the moon. I'm looking south to the moon, towards the moon, so I see what I see. Well, if I was to go head north and go under the moon and then turn myself around, what do you expect to see? You're going to see the upside down image of what you're looking at from the other point of view in the south. It's obvious, but they think that they have these proofs or something that actually say something, but they don't even understand what they're saying. So here's what he says: the fact that there are two celestial poles with apparent celestial rotation in opposite directions. So that's false. He's totally wrong on that. And actually, I can't say he's totally wrong because he did use the word apparent. So I got to give him credit for that. It appears to be going in the opposite direction when you turn around, of course. But then he says it completely destroys your fantasy flat world. The fact that stars rise and set also destroys your fantasy flat world, where Polaris is at the top of the universe and everything spins around it. So he's already defining what the flat earth map would be or whatever. If your
Yeah, because
fantasy was true,
his assumption is whatever, but perspective taken into account causes you to, the stars seem to go down to the horizon, right? Just like the
yeah.
sun and the moon. So
Yep.
then they're like, oh, it's. They still think they're seeing like space curvature, but
Yeah.
really it's just your perspective most of the time,
It's just
and
how far away
all
something's
kinds
going.
of factors. There's so many factors to take into account. It's so hard to explain to these people something when they've already there are, like you said, it's a straw man. They're like, here, argue about this. It's been talked about in books and movies and hours of discussion, and they want you to summarize it and get you busy.
Okay,
Uh,
so this, you're right. But look at this comment. There's some accusations in this comment that I actually didn't notice till right now. And so I'm going to point them out. But so he continues on saying, if your fantasy was true, everyone would see every star every night. They would not rise and set. See, like, I don't understand why he would think any of that. That's his
calling
flat
it a
Earth map.
fantasy. Yeah, he was calling you it a fantasy, and your
And he's
fantasy.
creating the fantasy. Like, he's making this fantasy up in his head and projecting that onto my beliefs. And I'm like, I don't believe any of that. Look what he says here. He falsely accuses me of something here. Stars would move horizontally on the horizon. Please don't lie again and claim that stars don't rise and set. I don't think I ever claimed that stars don't rise and set. I always say that the stars all rise in the east and they set in the west. So that's not true what he said there. So I am not lying again. And then he says, please don't lie again and claim that there is no southern celestial pole. This person, Mandelbrot Set, is a liar himself because you clearly have not watched any of my videos, Mandelbrot Set, and you don't know what I do say because there is a center of rotation in the north and the south. I do understand what happens in the sky. I pay a lot of attention to the stars and I spend a lot of time looking through my telescope. And I understand the direction that the stars are going. And so then he says, please don't lie again and claim that clockwise is the same direction as counterclockwise. It is the same direction as counterclockwise, or they are the same, but it's you turning around that makes it opposite. Like I've always tried to, I'll have to get the dry erase board out for a
I took
video.
I took an art class in high school, and we were trying to. They were teaching us perspective,
Yeah,
and in order to understand perspective in the art class was difficult to get across for the teacher. And they say that it's one of the most difficult things for an artist to portray is perspective. And
yeah.
we did the little thing, and I skipped most of that year. And I think I only went to that class like 2 or 3 times, but I
Hmm.
aced the class because she graded my doodling
Oh,
on my
really? So
assignment.
you have kind of a artistic pen in your hand, kind of. You're
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah. I
Okay.
was doodling, and I drew kind of the room and the fan and perspective of where I was sitting, and little things that I saw on top of the assignment. So she'd like pass me, and what caught my eye and my memory about that lesson from the teacher is that even in an art class that most people didn't take, the people that were interested in an art, there was only a very few of us that could understand perspective. So the perspective of when I look at it now is out of say 10,000 people, uh, 20 or 30 of them got it.
Yeah. There's a good question in the chat here, if we want to look at it. LM, welcome, says, at this point, I'm not believing either. Too much has happened. Just one question on Flat Earth. How do you achieve 24-hour sunlight in summer if Antarctica has an ice wall around the edges of Earth? I I guess the idea of the ice wall is probably what I would call an idea. We know that Antarctica is a place, and we know that water needs a container. I would guess that that's probably the closest reason why I would say that Antarctica might be the edges around the Earth or an ice wall or something. And as far as 24-hour sunlight in the summer, all that you have to have for 24-hour sunlight is you have to be close enough to the sun for it not to be beyond your or past your horizon or whatever you want to call it. So if the sun is that would be winter time in
You're
the
finding
northern.
that sweet spot where the sun, and that's where certain plants grow, like coffee beans, for example.
Okay, and Tony
Has
knows
to
about coffee
be,
beans.
yeah, they only grow in like certain around the Tropic of Capricorn or whatever, the certain celestial paths
Where there's more sunlight or less.
where there's more, and altitude and everything has to be just right. So it only grows in a few places in the earth. And it has to be at those places where there's a lot of sun
I
all the
think
time. You
I
know, a
think
lot of,
D Marble, Daryl Marble, I think went to Alaska one time and did a time lapse of that, of the in the north of the.
they have long summers and long winters, right? Like long dark seasons in that
Yes,
Alaska.
yeah, and he filmed the sun doing a circle over Alaska somewhere, and I mean there was a couple like times when the sun kind of went behind a mountain that was sticking up or whatever, or it was visible the whole time in a circle there, and I think what's happening is that the sun is I live in Minnesota, so from here what I see, like this time of year, it's starting to get cold out here. I mean, cooler out here, I should say. Like this morning, or
At night, yeah.
right now it's 51 degrees and mostly sunny here. A month ago, it was like 97 degrees and sunny. What causes that change? Well, obviously weather has part to do with it, but seasonally, what causes that change? Well, when I look at it, when I'm gonna film the sun, I have to. I'm pointing my camera just above the horizon to get the sun in the winter, and it's only visible for like 8 hours a day. It's
Yeah, and
so
if you
far
go,
away from where I'm at
right,
that I don't even feel the heat from it much.
and
And
if
in the
you
winter,
go
it's
one
right
or
above.
two
Or
hours, say
sorry.
you go, let me just elaborate. When you, because you're further north like I am in Michigan, but
Yep.
if you were to go a little bit further in the winter, do you get harder winters if you go like 4 hours north away from the
Um.
sun?
I mean, I'm sure there would be somewhat of a measurable,
Or are you at
constant.
the coldest spot? You know, like how it just gets wintry and that's as bad as it gets.
That's what it's. I don't know actually. I mean, all I know is that when it's the most cold out in the middle of the winter, the highest point that the sun gets in the sky is like, I don't know how many degrees. I've never measured it or anything, but it's only like 45 degrees that it gets at its highest point. And to me, when an airplane's flying away from me, it appears to go down towards the horizon as it gets farther away from me. And I believe the sun is doing basically the same thing as. And so in the summer, when the sun's only, and I might be wrong on the angle, I'm just using that kind of as an estimate. But if the sun's at 45 degrees, it's very far away from me in comparison to if it's at zenith straight above my head.
And that's more in the summer.
I like
So,
what Ann Gavitt says in the chat here. This is the power of the Holy Spirit. Flat Earth one day just resonated with me. I don't know much about the science. I actually physically feel it. When I did, things got better. Strange. And that thanks for saying that, because that's how flat Earth is understood. It's not understood because of science. It's not understood because of YouTube. It's understood because the Holy Spirit is teaching us. He's reproving us in this world because we've been apostate. We've been not believing the truth of God's creation. And actually, that reminds me of me and Tony were talking about Romans 1 a little bit before we went on. on here. And um, if we if we pay attention to our surroundings, which is important. A lot of people think that the ground beneath their feet is unstable and moving and rotating, but in reality, we all observe it being completely stationary, solid, still, not moving, and we count on that, and all of our technology counts on that, and all of our equipment, our tools that we use, all counts on this ground that doesn't move. So in reality, the earth isn't moving, and when we pay attention to these surroundings, we can become closer to the one that made these surroundings. It says in Romans 1:20, it says, "For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." Look what it says here. Okay, just picture the globe in your mind for a second when I read this. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. That reminds me of space exploration. Let's go put our spacecraft, our metal, tin can. Let's go put that in a place where we understand it to be a place of nothing but darkness. Like, yeah, but yeah. So that's awesome, man. That you can see it, and I think that probably comes from having being open to being taught by God, listening to what God wants to show
He
you.
who has an ear to hear, let him hear, and
Yep.
eyes to see, let him see. And most people don't. I mean, it says most people won't come to God and into the kingdom
Yeah.
because
A
they
drop in a bucket.
believe the lie. Yeah, they choose to believe in the lie, and it's sad. It sucks.
And
Um,
what's sad and sucks about it is that it's even written that there'd be people that would see something that the rest of the world wouldn't see, and those people that saw it would have to watch the world hating on it. Like that,
right.
to me, it's crazy. To from our point of view, once we can grasp some of the things that are happening and why flat Earth is something that people are talking about.
Oh, you're
It's
just talking
because
about reality. Oh, God.
yeah, and it's because
Hey,
God made it that way. He
he
told us
made
how he
it this
made it.
way. He says that he made it so that we would understood that he made it because he's God. And
Yep.
then people are like still denying it. It's like, no, I'm angry at God because why is there evil in the world? Well, why are you being evil then?
Yeah, and I love what at sorry, I'm going back to Anne's comment again. I love what she says at the end. When I did, things got better. Strange.
Strange.
Isn't that strange? Because I experienced the exact same thing. My
That
entire
whole,
life became
yep.
something of value when it wasn't before. How's that?
It's amazing when you change how you view the world and how it is and how it was created, how that changed your whole perspective on the world. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine that.
Tonette likes the term biblical cosmology better. And that's probably wise because flat earth is probably like a trigger word.
Except for cosmology is also could be a trigger word because that could insinuate the worship of the cosmos, which was
Yeah,
an
and
actual
actually,
deity.
yep,
Uh,
that's something that
so
I've commented about. And I
yeah,
think
I think
Tonette is,
you talked
we're,
about that before because
yeah.
that we don't want to nitpick. It is good to understand. How about creation? How about
We could
biblical
just say, we
creation?
could call it the 6 day creation, the truth of the 6 day creation, maybe. That
I
would even
believe
be,
in the Bible. I believe that God created the heavens and the earth and the firmament, sun, moon, and stars. You know, we can come up with a little statement, I suppose, of faith would be pretty cool. How about starting a new denomination? I was told a while ago, you should start a flat Earth church.
I've heard a lot of people trying to or talking about a flat Earth church. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
you
I'll
should
stay
do
away from that one.
well, right. Do a flat Earth denomination where the
Be like, who's going to be the first deacon or whatever?
right
Okay, who's the pastor?
who gets the tithes? Where
Yeah,
are we going to put our buildings?
I bet you the pastor is going to laugh at the idea of the dragon flying in the sky. See, that's one thing that's sad about what is happening with
No,
flat
we
earthers.
just have to take control of it, and we'd be like, "Yep, there's a dragon. There it
Yep.
is."
But you know it's like when I bring it up to people, they say, "Well, that's not what John was talking about in his vision." And I'm going to go back to way up to the top if I can find it. A comment that Thomas Morgan, I think I might even have put it on the screen, but I didn't mention it. There's something that Thomas Morgan pointed out, and it's right here. You guys tell me if we should be very careful when we do understand what John said that he saw in his vision of a red dragon, yeah, in heaven, a wonder of a great red dragon, and he was looking up at the sky where the stars were. If he saw that, it's been 2,000 years and we've never seen any dragon up there. Look what Thomas Morgan writes. Only time in history that a dragon is going out of the earth into the heavens. And that's why we had this playing in the background, because these people are inside of a dragon right now, in heaven or in the sky. So that's something to think about. And we have people
He's
that are
upside down.
supposedly teachers of God's word, and they laugh at this idea. Or actually, they don't laugh at this idea. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. They are scared to even attempt to talk about this idea. And it's not even an idea. It's a fulfillment of prophecy from 2,000 years ago. That's what it is. And people say, well, that's not a dragon. Sorry, but in the time we live in, that is a dragon. And if you
Hey,
go ahead. Oh, did I lose you, Tony?
yeah, can you pause that? I think they were trying to spell out like YMCA or something.
Oh, like a minute ago they were.
No, you see him on the screen. She's upside down.
Oh
She's
yeah.
when she put her arm out there, I think they were trying to spell like SpaceX or something.
Look at this. Look what Tonette says. Wow. When I told my daughter that I believed Earth was flat, her response was, "That's gross." And that's so Tonette. I'm proud of you for being able to say it, because that's very hard. I don't have children, but I can't even imagine hearing that and knowing the image of you in their mind seems to have changed in a certain way, when they say something like that.
Yeah, I get that.
So I feel for you,
That's
Tone,
horrible.
but keep saying the truth, because that's why we are here. That's why we see the truth. He made us witness something that we probably would choose not to witness if we had a choice. But now that we do witness it, we say, well, everyone needs to witness it because it's so important. She says she didn't even want to hear what I had to say. That's my same with my family too. They just get angry when I talk. So I don't talk about it very much. Yeah, Artist of El Elyon says, be careful. Your family might try to get you thrown in the facility for speaking the truth. It's true though. They literally think you've gone crazy, and they're like, "Do you need some help? Are you struggling?" I'm like,
Right.
"No, I'm trying to get you. Like, I'm trying to free you from a dark prison that you're locked in. That's what's happening."
Yeah, it's people are strange. They're turning against each other. I don't know why uh, people want that division. I mean, it seems like being divided is common knowledge that we don't want to divide, that we want to have unity, but yet people are still divided.
Yeah, definitely. Very. So that's another thing that's troubling is that when you bring this information, and I'm specifically talking about SpaceX Dragon, when you bring this information to people, there's only two ways that they handle it. There's one where it's strictly and quickly, swiftly discounted. That's not what he's talking about. Done. That's it. That's it. They don't consider it. They actually think about the fact that for 2,000 years there's never been a dragon up in the sky until now. Now the whole world is talking about this SpaceX Dragon. That's how we get to the space station. That's how we're going to get to Mars. That's the future. And
Right. All their
that's
hopes
exactly
are
what
on that.
they believe in it. They're worshiping it. And what is that dragging power to? It it in the it makes people believe in something that's a star that's flying around the earth. Um and that I think is the most dangerous thing to believe in, to be honest. We all were born believing in this spinning globe and
And
uh
that teaches evolution, that teaches Big
the
Bang,
Big
that teaches
Bang. Yep.
everything contrary to what the Bible teaches.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
the problem
Mike.
that I've always had with the globe is the evolution and the Big Bang. I used to say if the sun was a big ball of burning gas and you were to add the years back according to how much time they say we've been here, it wouldn't be possible because the sun would be too big
Yeah.
and nothing could have lived in those billions of years because it burns so much mass every second.
It's a
And
crazy story that they actually put out there.
and they say, well, it goes through stages and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, but do your math. It's wrong.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
You
And
guys,
okay, so it takes 8 minutes for the sun's light to get to the earth. How would
right,
they know that? How would they
right,
know
right.
that? If the
But they
sun
don't.
comes up, you're already getting the light from it. Like, you can't go,
They time it. Once
you
they
can't
can see
drive a
it, then
mile
they get a
to,
thermostat out there and they hold it up and wait for it to go up a little bit.
and all you
Yeah,
can do is you could drive a mile further away,
yeah.
and the sun would come up like a fraction of a second later or something. But you can't go as fast as the sun, and so there's really no way to like. I don't know why the idea of flat Earth is even ridiculed. It's actually the world that we all observe.
Yeah, it's just how they've uh, conditioned everyone to think. Cultural, what do they call it? Social engineering.
Yeah,
Our whole culture is based off of this story. It's a story. Like, have you ever seen? I'm sure. Oh, yeah, you have. The first movie, A Trip to the Moon. Shakespeare's Globe.
It's all wrong.
Shakespeare's
The world
theater.
is
sorry, Tony.
Yeah, right. His
Yeah,
theater was called the Globe. Shakespeare.
I did not know that.
You should
His
look into that because
wow.
what they used to say the globe meant was all the people of Earth. And if you look
Okay.
into the history of Shakespeare, well, all the world is a stage, all the men are but players, all these things about Shakespeare. There's good players, there's bad players, actors on the world stage. Our whole culture is based on this stuff
Yeah,
off of a
and it
story.
probably goes way back further than like
It does.
we have history books and things, but we all know that there's not necessarily truth 100% in all of that. Um,
Oh, the world is a stage. You should look that
yeah,
up, son. It's a poem
the
that a
world
lot of
is a
people.
stage.
Yeah, have you ever heard that performed?
I might have. I don't. I can't say that I can recall the poem that you're talking about, but
All the popular actors have done it. This poem. It's
okay,
kind of one of their things for actors. This is one of the things that they do to
okay,
become an actor. Is they have to learn things like that because it conditions your mind to be
okay.
that way, to think in that way. So it's social engineering through arts. That's why arts
Mm.
is such a big deal. You're a construction worker. How much do people pay for more artistic work? They'll pay more than double, triple
Yeah, they'll pay a
for
lot more for something that's
just more
architecturally
decorative. Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
even though it
And that
barely
actually, that's something
makes
that King, that, oh, I'm sorry. That's something that King Solomon actually talked about in the Testament of Solomon when he said that uh, one of his failures during his life, and he was saying this to his sons and like his offspring or whatever, like right before he died. He says, "I failed in an area in my life, and it is the area of like lusting after the things in this world that are of beauty." And architecture and beautiful structures and things like construction things being one of his big ways that he claims that he failed in during his life. So like yeah, there's beauty and whatever in some architecture and things like that, but we have to be careful because it can be something that becomes, I guess, probably like an idol, maybe. Like things being beautiful or appealing to the eyes. We have to remember that. And this kind of circles back to uh, John 18. Oops, I'm sorry, you guys don't have my screen. Let me get that back up here. How do I do that? Right here. John 18. This is something that's amazing to me, and this is that verse that you read in your stream earlier, Tony.
yep.
Verse 37. This was right before Jesus. This is when Jesus was like on trial, and Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest I am king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. So, welcome, Sean Hawkins. Good to see you. Sean says, You are a bearer of false witness. You are doing the work of Lucifer. Good luck in hell. Hey, Sean, do you actually want... Let me share something with you, because this statement here shows me that there's an aspect of Lucifer that you haven't thought about before. And where do we get the word Lucifer? Where do we know about Lucifer? We know about him from the Bible, right? And in the Bible, Lucifer is this character, this angel of light, right? And what in the whole Bible, there's one place that I've found that says what Lucifer has in his heart to do, or what he says in his
Isaiah,
heart.
isn't that in Isaiah
Yep,
somewhere?
Isaiah 14.
Oh,
And
okay.
what is it that Lucifer desires to do in the Bible, the whole Bible? It's to ascend into heaven, to go up to the sky, and to exalt his throne above the stars of God, and to ascend above the heights of the clouds and be like the Most High. You see your whatever your icon there, Sean? It says shill, but that's like the NASA logo. I just want to let you know that if we think about this, who's in the work of Lucifer? When Lucifer says, I will ascend into heaven, and NASA on their mission statement, at nasa.gov, they say, we will ascend into heaven. So they're actually doing the work of Lucifer specifically. So, sorry, Sean, I just wanted to share that with you. It's not me that's doing the work of Lucifer. It's actually SpaceX. Thank you, artist of Jan. SpaceX. The SpaceX cop. But yeah, then Sean says, you blaspheme God's infinite creation.
Yeah,
What would
what's
that
wrong
mean?
with him?
Well, you know what? Sean Hawkins is he's I he's been a
He's
flat Earth guy, like a globe guy forever, and he's I would
yeah.
call it
I've
harsh
silenced
or
him a few times. I
yeah,
did, and he was like, "Oh, who was the coward that silenced me?" I was like, "I'm the one that did it because you're
yeah.
being
Sean
rude."
is always I don't know the right word to use for Sean's comments, and Sean would agree with me here. I don't want to say abrasive because that might be a little too nice. I want to say that the comments are.
Does he drink? I mean, I don't
I
want
don't know.
to.
I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't mean to say that, but maybe he's just in a good mood and wants to. chat.
I don't think it's that. I think he's truly has, strong convictions about us being wrong or whatever, and he's really believes in the globe and space and all the whole
But I wouldn't
understanding
mind
we have.
talking to Sean one time in person, on the video if he
Me too.
really has. He's here all the time. He likes
Yep.
you. He listens.
And I've
And
actually asked Sean one time in his comments. I don't know if he saw it, but I asked Sean one time to come on to my channel and have a conversation with me as long as we can keep it civil. And I know Sean would be able to keep it civil.
I think
Like
he
he
could.
seems like a level-headed guy that's just maybe a little bit even angry about the things we're saying. So,
Yeah.
um,
So, and it's hard to communicate through chat. And so
it
maybe
is.
he would be a cool guy because obviously he hangs out all the time.
Hey, you know
That
what? I just had an idea right now. Tell me what you think,
invite
Tony.
him in.
Should
Invite him
we?
in.
Sean,
Yeah.
if I sent you a link, would you come and hang out with us and just have a conversation? I know we disagree on things, but that doesn't mean we have a nice conversation. Um,
Yeah, totally welcome to come
it
in.
says
I'm
he
fine
says
with
that
that.
guy says he wants to talk to me, but blocks me on his channel like a coward. Sean, you have to admit that the comments that you make are are not made in a like a polite way. They're quite direct and uh,
I
rude.
just don't
I'm not
feel. Yeah.
ripping on. I'm just saying your comments are rude, and so like a coward. That I don't know why you would add like a coward if someone blocks you on their channel. That's their channel. It's up to them. It has nothing to do with being a coward or not. So that's kind of like what I'm talking about, the like a coward part. But Sean, I would if you want to come in, I will send you a link. Okay. Sean says, "Oops, I don't." Like I said, take the Polaris challenge and we'll talk all you want. I've already taken the Polaris challenge, and it doesn't prove anything, Sean. There's something you don't understand about what your challenge is supposed to show. It doesn't show anything. Polaris is light in the sky, and as you go to different parts of the Earth, Polaris it'll be in a different part of the sky, no matter where you are. And if you go far enough away, you won't even see it. It'll be too far away. And just like the sun sets, it will be, as you go farther away from it, it sets. Um, Thomas Morgan says, let him speak, see what he says. Sean, you're more than welcome. I don't know if I'm friends with you on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, are you on Facebook, Sean? We should be friends on Facebook. You know what? Should I just put the link in the chat here and see if he comes in?
Oh, you can open it up to other people even because
Yeah,
he
that's
may
that's
be
a good
too
idea.
shy. He may be too shy and say that whatever. I don't know. It's up to you. I'm fine with that.
And yeah, what I'll do is here is I'm gonna copy the link and I'm gonna put it in there. And you know what? To be honest, anybody that wants to come in and have a civil conversation, um, make sure you got clothes on and whatever if you're gonna show your video. Um, let's see here. Here's the link. Sean, if you want to come in, we can talk about the Polaris challenge, or we can talk about your Star Trail challenge, or your EQ mount challenge, whatever you want to call it. Showing how the angles to Polaris don't work on a flat Earth. Well, maybe we can chat about it. See, I move some. I got too many things in the studio here. Let me play this video of Greta really quick since I started it, but it might not be the right one, but we'll play it anyway for fun.
The
Oops,
world
hold on.
is waking.
Sorry.
This is all wrong. The world is waking up,
You guys can't see that, can
and
you?
change is coming.
Hold on a minute. Let's see what happened. Oh, I think it's because I have the comment there. Like I said, take the Polaris challenge. Where is that one? There it is. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, there we go. We'll start it over again. Greta's going to tell you about the globe.
This is all wrong. The world is waking up.
He's like,
And
calm down.
change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you.
See you later, globes. That was fun. Oh yeah. Sort this out, Greta. Greta, she really does not like being on my channel. If you guys didn't know that, I can show you something she said one time, but it'll take me a second to find it. I don't know really exactly what's going on in the chat, but yeah, Sean Hawkins. Sometime we should talk because I've watched Sean's videos. He'll sit and rip on the things I say. He'll title his video "Joe's a moron" or "Effed up world's an idiot" or whatever. But I don't really take offense to any of that. I just know that that's kind of Sean's way. He's the word I'm looking for is on the tip of my tongue, and I can't. It's not harsh. It's not abrasive. It's a word like that.
Contentious.
I don't even know.
Maybe not that big of a word.
I'll put it this way. Sean's not a troll. Sean can be a troll sometimes, but I don't consider Sean to be a troll because he actually I think Sean's being honest and that he's really believes very strongly the things that he says. And when he here's why I can back up that, because Sean has a channel and he does live streams. I'm subscribed to his channel. He does live streams and makes videos and talks about these specific things that we're talking about flat Earth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he will do a stream and he'll go like like if I did a stream and there was something in there that he was just like, no way, then he will like review part of my stream while he's doing a stream, and like that's I think a very useful way to
communicate.
Yeah, or even to just like look at what someone else is saying and find out, well, is this true what he's saying? Look at their video and kind of break it down, pause and talk about it, and you know what I mean? Artist of Elian, that's a good one. I like that. Sean is like me when I used to think flat Earth was a psyop. And I think we could all probably say that. We would all laugh at it before we understood that it was the truth. Exactly, Roderick. You don't attack the brother in that way. There's no reason to attack. I mean, even, like, I don't know Sean's stance. I don't know if he believes
is he
that.
a believer or not?
I don't know.
I mean,
I have the idea that
Earth or anything, but in God. I mean, is he?
I have the idea that he believes in God, but I don't know that. Like, I don't think he's an atheist. I don't think he would say that he wasn't created. But I don't know that. I guess that's just what I gather from what I know of him. But
I mean, it's kind of hard to understand God's creation without understanding that God created it.
Yeah.
So if you deny, that's why I go right to, are you a believer? Are you born again? Do you have the Spirit of God in you? Are you open to the truth and to wisdom? Because if God created it by his word and you don't accept his word, you're not going to accept what I say.
And that's why the 6 days of creation is very important, because that is the big claim being made by God or by the Bible, is that God spoke this into existence and here it is. Like that's how we all exist right now. God is breathing all this life that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of this, like, people have the idea that like once matter or materials are created, then everything just continues on, like time and the construct of reality continues on. No, this is something God's making as we speak. He's creating it at forever. Do you know what I mean? He spoke it, and then now it's going the way he spoke it. It's like he made a statement, and now the statement's taking place. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, our breath has like a It's sound, so it has a vibration to it,
Yep.
and it causes waves, and that's how we interpret it, or other people can hear us. When you have speakers, you want good acoustics, I guess. I'm hard of hearing, so my sound and depth perception is off. If
Hmm.
I hear a noise, because one of my ears is a little bit, damaged from like trucking, leaving the window, a trucker's ear is what we call it.
Okay. Where you
And
get
you
like the pressure.
wind too much from
Yeah.
having a window down, and it damages the eardrum. That's what the doctors called it.
In
Anyway.
my generation, that comes from subwoofers and bass bumping in the back. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that'll affect all your, everything.
I
Both.
remember sitting like in line in a line of cars, like waiting to get out of fireworks or something. It was like on the 4th of July, and there was all these cars and people like kind of partying and whatever. And I just remember barely being able to hear the people in the car I was in, not because of the stereo in the car that I was in, but one of the cars either in front of us or behind us was bumping their bass so loud that it was shaking the windows and the seats in the car I was in.
Right.
I just had that memory. I'm like, if you were inside that car, your hair would have been standing straight up.
Oh man, my brother had a car like that. My little brother, and it was
Yeah,
so loud, and I was sitting in the back seat
they
where the
break the
big
windows.
speakers were, and my whole insides, I could feel my guts and stuff vibrating. I'm like,
Yeah.
you gotta let me out. I am
So
not
that
gonna
that
sit
that
here.
that's like a physical. We should talk about that because that's important. That's a
Yeah,
physical force or whatever you want to call it. The air moving uh, back and forth, creating that wave, right? And that
like
that can affect physical things as that wave travels through or to things, right?
so. How fast is the sun and moon going? Does that cause any kind of waves
Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe it
that we
causes
don't?
tides.
Maybe it causes some kind of waves through also the electromagnetic powers, positive sun,
Yeah, like
negative
yeah,
moon,
like
and the movement through the what do they call it? Dark matter or ether
the dark waters.
of the firmament. So it's causing movement and waves also. So there's a lot of factors to take into account, and when you dismiss one or two, like you can't understand, at least I can't understand science without taking faith into account,
Yeah.
because science isn't going to, I at least have to have some kind of premise that I'm studying for science. I need to know why I'm doing this test. I want to prove this, or I want to
Yeah. You're trying to
understand
learn
this
a
better.
specific thing, kind of.
Yeah, like when they do that one experiment with the light traveling from one, uh, how it travels at a different distance, going one direction to the other, doesn't necessarily explain,
Affect it.
or
Yeah.
it
Like if
doesn't
you're on
say,
if
it's
you're on a
not
jet.
proven that the Earth's moving. What it's proven is that light, when it travels in one direction, is a different speed than when it travels the other. And they assume that it means the Earth is moving, when in
Yeah.
reality, what if there's a current of the ether or the firmament, and there's a drag on our air from the movement of the heavens and the firmament, like it's a great ocean, which it is. And when you turn that video upside down and was showing the clouds, it just, to me, it's almost profound.
Yeah, it almost like in your mind you almost go, I think I've seen that before. That's a real thing. Like there's something real about that. Like the a lake being in the sky or an ocean being in the sky, like the sky being an ocean, you know? And of course it doesn't make sense because there's an up and a down here on earth and that's how we live. There's an up and a down. But something that I remembered Sean Hawkins saying about what was it? I just had it a minute ago. I saw a comment here that reminded me of it. Let's see. I don't remember what that was, I guess. But the sound waves, they're a very powerful thing. And so when you're hearing the subwoofer in a car and it's shaking, you can feel it shaking your chest or whatever. That is right behind your back or whatever, behind the seat that you're sitting in or whatever. There's this subwoofer doing that, shaking the air, and there's a physical thing that happens, and you can witness this physical shaking of the window. I mean, some people with car stereos, they can break the windows of the car just by turning the stereo up. So they have to, you know what I mean? Some of them are really powerful. Well, if we talk about that, the shuttle or a rocket launch, it does that same thing to your chest that from sitting right next to the subwoofer or whatever. It does that from 8 miles away.
Because it's a wave.
It's a wave, and it's a very strong wave, and it destroys glass, and it turns your car alarm on, and it all, and if we think about like an opera singer singing the right note and breaking the wine glass, shattering the wine glass.
Reminds me when the fat lady sings where that term came from, right? With the lady that sings and breaks the glass, and I always remember it isn't over until the fat lady sings. You ever heard that?
Yeah. Yep, I've heard that before.
Where does that come from, I wonder? I mean, is that just from a movie, or is it from
I don't know. Should I look it up? I have no idea, to be honest.
Well, I didn't know if that was some prophecy like from Nostradamus or something.
Who knows? That one I've never actually thought about too much.
I had the book of Nostradamus. You ever read that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I used to read that just as a side book. Be like, oh, let me read on these prophecies that everyone's trying to understand. See if I can get any glimpses. You know what I found out when I read his books is they sounded a lot like the movie and book series Dune. There was some similarities.
Oh yeah, I think you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, Dune is going to be making a comeback. I've been feeling that for years. He got timed out again.
Sean did.
Yeah,
see, Sean is he's bringing up the okay. What Sean's doing is he's not having a sense of humor. He's saying Greta was not talking about the shape of the earth when she said that is not right, and you know it. You just proved me right about being a liar, Sean. There is not a person here or a person watching this stream or that will ever watch this stream that takes that stance that you're taking right now, because they know something called humor. They know of something that when people want to create a joke or to create something to make someone laugh or to be funny, they might make a clip of Greta talking about the shape of the earth with a goofy CGI arm on there that's obviously not Greta's arm. That's for fun, Sean. That's not me lying, just so you know. You could even ask Greta herself, and I don't think she would. I think she would laugh, and she would say, that's horrible. Like that, I never said that. She would laugh. Okay, so that's, and then Sean says, where did that go? Hey, Mandelbrot set's here. Good. Should we go through Mandelbrot set's comments and like try to talk some sense? Sorry, Mandelbrot set. I don't know if he's been to my channel before. Mandelbrot's saying to Nat, do you claim that clockwise rotation is the same direction as counterclockwise rotation? Mandelbrot set, you are, how do I even say it? I'm not trying to rip on you, but I'm going to say that you are speaking you are asking that question from a point of pure ignorance about what the question you're even asking is, like the topic. Okay, let's just let me get up a video on here if I can. I have one of the star trails. I want to explain something to you that you're not understanding yet, and it doesn't mean anything about Earth being a globe or flat, but it is a misunderstanding that you have about what happens in the sky. The sky does not have two directions that it spins. There's only one direction, and it all circles around Polaris. And it's not a flat plate that's in the sky. It's not that simple. It's more complex, and I'm not saying I understand how everything moves in the sky, but you clearly are misunderstood about the counterclockwise and the clockwise rotation that we observe from the Earth. Okay? Let me grab a video. I'm just old Star Trails video. Let's see. I don't know. It might not be a very good one, but I'm just picking one from 2019. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to let that play. And I want to explain something. Okay, you're going to have to pretend that you're in Minnesota with me. And whoops, it doesn't keep playing it, I guess. How do we do that? Okay, so we're in Minnesota, and so that the star in the center there is Polaris, and it's at 45 degrees above the horizon where I live, okay? And so we are facing, you have to think about your body. Let's say we're standing next to each other right now, and when we're watching this, I'm going to have to keep hitting play. When we're watching this, we are facing, the direction we are both facing is north, okay? So to our left, if we were to turn 90 degrees to our left, we would be facing west, correct? And so if we're facing west, the stars, obviously, as you can see, they're going counterclockwise. They're going to be setting on our left. So if we turn 90 degrees, now we're facing west, they're going to be going down towards the horizon. And if we look to the right, we're going to see what's on the screen right now. What if we look to the left? Well, we can't see the southern center of rotation, the axis of rotation. We can't see that from Minnesota. So we would have to go to the equator in order to see what's happening in the sky. And I'm having the idea that I should just go to Stellarium here and do a screen share. Because Mandelbrot said there's only one direction that the whole sky rotates around two axes of rotation. It's actually one, but as it goes further out, you can look and see the center of that as it goes out to the south. And I'm probably not doing a very good explanation, but let me get to Stellarium here and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I think I hope you don't mind, Tony. I think it's worth looking at this because, okay, there we are. Stellarium. Let's just do this, okay? We are facing, you guys can see that on the screen, right? Let's see here. Okay, so if we do the time thing. Okay, so there's a little north on the screen there, so we can tell we're facing north. So if we were to go like this, we're going to see Polaris. I think it's going to be this one right here. It's going to be Polaris. But if we do the time thing here, we'll notice, I'll go forward in time, and we'll notice that the stars are all going to circle counterclockwise around that star. See that? As I go forward in time, okay, well, we got to lose the daylight. How do we do that? Atmosphere? Okay. So we're going to try to understand this. Okay, right now we're in Minnesota. And so 45 degrees, that's where that star is. So as we move time forward, it's going counterclockwise. So let's do this. Let's just turn ourselves to the left, to the west. Okay, and now let's do it again. See what this shows us. If we go forward in time, okay, you can still see Polaris there off to the right, and notice that all stars are setting to the west, right? Well, now we have to change our location. Oh, did you say something, Tony?
I just unmuted my mic.
Oh, okay.
Been moving around, so yeah, you're fine. Keep going.
I got to figure out how to. Oh, I went full screen. Nice. I got to figure out how to change my location. I haven't been on here for a while. Observe. Let's see. I can't remember how to do this. I think maybe it's down here. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we're going to go down to the equator, and we're going to look from there. I'm going to show you something. Okay, so where should we go to?
That's
Let's
quite the
go.
valley that they got going on there. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah. For
V-shaped ground.
anti-curvature. Okay, so let's go. Let's go somewhere right here. We go to where's is
I love watching. I have a weather app I used to have on my phone, and it would say sunrise at this time and moon set at the same this time, and then moon rise at this time, and then I would look outside, and it would say that the moon shouldn't be visible, but yet I could see it.
Okay, what's on here? I'm not even sure. Where's the equator? Um, Jamaica's too far, I think.
Like
Okay,
Brazil
let's just
or
go to
something.
Panama.
Yeah,
I have no idea if
go to Brazil.
Panama.
That's where they're launching from now.
Oh
It's
yeah,
easier.
Brazil. Let's do
It's
that.
closer. Now, in that
Brazil.
area along the equator is where you get coffee from.
Okay,
Be a
we're
good,
gonna go
good
to
place to be.
Brazil. I think undefined Brazil. Why is it not? Was I already in Brazil? Oh, I was already in Brazil. Okay, let's just go right where we're at there. Use this location. So now now we're there. So let's go back to north, and now Polaris might not even be visible. I'm gonna guess Polaris is this little star right here. That's just a guess. Otherwise, it might not even be visible. But we'll see the same rotation happening in the sky, counterclockwise. So almost right behind the end for north, that's where Polaris is. Okay, right on the horizon. So this is a good spot to look from. Okay, so moving forward, we're going counterclockwise. Okay, all the sun, moon, and stars. Now, if we face west, so we're literally turning our body. Now, what are we going to see? I have to reset that. How do I reset that? Just like this. Okay. Whoops. How do I reset that? Anyway, I'll just manually. Whoops. Okay, so from here, we're looking west. Stars are all going down in the west, setting in the west. Okay? No matter where you are on the earth, they're going to set in the west. Okay? So now we're going to face south. And guess what we'll see? We're going to see clockwise rotation. So we are going to see the opposite rotation. Look at clockwise. Clockwise rotation. What is the sky doing? The sky's doing one motion. When I look north, when I look to the north, okay, we'll reset this. The stars are going counterclockwise. Notice the direction they're going, though. As I turn west. Whoops, I wish this thing had the reset button. I
Yeah,
thought
but
it
it's
did.
like trying to understand how pizza tastes to somebody that's lived in the jungle all their life. They're not
Yeah.
getting it.
But look, the stars are all doing the same motion. Look at the we're facing west now. So if we just turn a little bit to northwest, we're gonna see it start all doing the same thing. See that? They're all going down in the west, coming up in the east, and they're circling counterclockwise in the north. An action of us turning ourselves around makes it, resetting it, makes it that it's going in an opposite direction, but it's not. It's only going in one direction. It does not have two opposite directions. You have to understand that your eyes are looking at it. You're looking north to see the one, and you've completely turned around and looked south to see the other. So that was for Mandelbrot set. Learn your model, buddy. I'm going back up here. Let's see here.
Yeah,
So
you're
are
only
you
on
going
one
to?
side of north.
You're what?
You're only on one side of north.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
only
were
in
to
location
go,
at a time.
if you were to go the other side of the North Pole and do the same experiment, then yeah, that would be an observation that maybe you can make an argument. But
Oh,
I
I know
mean,
what I
I'm
can
not
do. I know
talking
what I can
about
do.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That
you know what we gotta do? We gotta go
north
to
is the
Australia.
center, yeah, if north
We have
is
to
the
go.
center, would you get the same when you look south from the other side of north? Like if south is behind me, and then south is also in front of me beyond north. If I'm on a circle and north is the center, does that make sense? Does that make
I
sense?
kind of got lost. I kind of got
Okay.
lost in what you were saying there.
If you
Um,
were to go to the very north and turn right, would that be south or east?
it would be east if you were to the north and right. Or do you mean like I don't know. Those are the kind of questions that I don't know if we have answers for. If you go to the North Pole, you're saying if you're standing at the North Pole, well, every
Yeah,
direction would be south then, right?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
So
at
that's one of
what
those
point?
things that's hard to. So we're going to use this location in Australia, and this is going to show you. This is going to prove to anyone watching right now that stars only move in one rotation. Okay. They all go around Polaris. So we're way down in Australia. We can't even see Polaris because it's way far away, and we're still gonna look north. What way do you expect the stars to be spinning? What do you know? They go counterclockwise. It's the same motion in the north or the south. When we turn around, that's when we observe an apparent change in the rotation direction. But it's all just going one direction. If that makes any sense. It should make sense because I tried to explain it, but whoops, what's this here? That's not the right one. So anyways, I'm gonna grab another video if I can. I got an idea. I've got an idea. Tony, what
Yeah.
were you were saying something about that Word document or whatever that you made. Maybe we can kind of review some of those verses maybe.
Sure. Let me open it. I didn't mean to do that. I opened PowerPoint too. So let's see. How about Hebrews 12?
Yeah, should I go to I'll just go to Bible Hub.
Hebrews 12, 26 and 29. So whose voice shook
Hebrews.
the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, yet once more I shake not only the earth, but also heaven.
Oh yeah, where is it? Which verse was it?
That was Hebrews 12, 26.
Oh, whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And
If
you know
you
what?
read on a couple more after that, it talks in more
Okay.
detail. Go ahead. Just
And this
continue on.
word, oh wow, this is pretty good. Verse 27 says, and this word yet once more signifieth the removing of those things that are shaken, as of things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear, for our God is a consuming fire. You know what, Tony? I've never comprehended that right there before. It makes me think of the opera singer singing the right tone and breaking the wine glass.
Yeah.
But there was
I was
a
gonna ask
plastic
you.
cup. There's a plastic cup right next to the wine glass and nothing happened to it.
So I was going to ask you, but my microphone was muted while you had that stellarium up. There was the
Yeah, I
Milky
got it.
Way. Yeah, there was the Milky Way in the background.
Yeah.
And I've always considered that the Milky Way may be a tear in the firmament where the flood came from, because that's just how I understand it. May not be right, but there's a lot of cultures that believe that the flood came from the Milky Way, which was like the tear in the firmament where the floods came from.
That's what the Bible would
And
say. That's what the Bible
yeah,
say. The windows of heaven were opened and the fountains of the deep.
so I'm not much of a mechanic, but if you have a hole in your radiator and you lose a lot of fluid, eventually it'll overheat, right?
Yeah, it needs a coolant to cool the
So if
down.
there was a tear or a rip in the firmament and fluids came out and drained, and maybe there's a dry, fiery valley there where parts of the.
Wow.
This is just how I imagine it. Is if there's a tear and it's losing some of its radiant fluid, that's why it's going to be judged with fire, and it's a matter of time before the fire and those chunks of hail, 100 pounds, are going to be coming down. I've always thought
Yeah.
that it would be because of there is a hard part of the firmament, but it's not like right away. You know, there's the winds,
Yeah.
there's other layers, there's who knows what's up there. I mean, we have history of giants and clouds, Jack and the Beanstalk. These are just fairy tale stories, but we never know
Yep.
exactly what is true with the heavens. Maybe they call them planets and they'll be extraterrestrials, but they're really just up there above some kind of ice sheet city that's floating there that we'd never know about. I mean, there are a
Yeah.
lot of things that I think about because I have that imagination and I can do that. I can just think of something that hasn't even been in a movie. I'm the worst person to watch a movie with. I'll call the script within about 5 minutes. By the end of the movie, I'll tell you how it ends.
And you're like, boring, right?
Right. I'm like, I'm
So
gonna.
check this out. This is one reason, and I gotta point this out. The channel Kingdom in Context, Sean Griffin and Wes Blaze, they do a show together called Uncommon Ground, and they've limited their learning experience from the Spirit of Truth in a certain way, and it's because of the word down, I think. When they hear the word down, that must mean down to them. When God casts the angels down to hell,
Yeah.
and which there is an aspect of
Okay, I lost you a little bit. I don't know if anyone else can hear you, but I think you cut out. Maybe close a couple tabs. I don't know. Yeah, down. It's funny to argue about words and separating fellowship over. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm talking. Sorry, Joe. We can't hear you. Can you hear me? Should I call him, or is he just? Anyway, it's a good conversation. Okay, he says, I think my computer just locked up. I think I have to shut it down. Okay, so we're gonna end this. Thank you all for coming. God bless you all. Have a good day. Bye.